have been referred as Dr. Barse so many times in the same speech ever before. So thank you so much, sir. And it's an honor to be here and to be the first speaker at Chogle Conversations. And as the word goes, I'll keep it conversation. I'm not going to do a presentation. And the pictures you see will tell a story of what I have been doing so far. And since the morning, I've been touring the campus and I've been seeing all the various departments. And I have to tell you, this is like a dream come true for any academic who has been, around the world. I can truly see that education here means so much more than pure academics, but rather than being in the classroom, you are actually applying it. I was able to visit a lot of labs and see firsthand. I mean, I was amazed to see how brilliantly you are applying what you're learning in your college, and I have never seen such an involved staff. I have never seen staff that is being with the students and actually personally interacting with them. I mean, every time my principal used to stroll by me, I mean, like he used to walk by me, I used to be like hiding in places, but I could see you openly acknowledging your principal and not being afraid, and I love that. I seriously love the fact that all of your staff is so much into you, and this is how it should be. This is how it should be everywhere in India, and this is such a warm feeling for me. Uh, I think someone from this college actually tried to call me last year, but it didn't work out. I think this is the best place to be, and being an opening speaker at this wonderful forum is the perfect place for me to begin with. While I'm going to keep this conversational, I'm also going to tell you stories. I mean, I'm going to tell you two stories. One story is how we come to be what we are. And the second story is of the personal experience I had since I joined Slum Soccer. Let me start with the story of starting at Slum Soccer. It actually used to be known as Jhopadpatti football, uh, literally means slum soccer, and was started in 1999 by my father. My father is a lecturer with Nagpur University. And when he started, what he used to do was he used to pursue individual students who used to be exceptionally well but couldn't do. And he used to develop them as sports person and then push them to get into the sports quota and be admitted into various courses. And I could see him changing lives of people all along what he was doing. And it used to sort of tickle me. I wasn't so keen on following his footstep. I was pretty happy being myself. I was a grade A student all throughout my life, and it just seemed to be like taking one degree after another and no other motivation as such because I was good at it. And later on, I mean, I just kept doing it, and I kept seeing what he was doing. And although his impact was very small, although the number of people he was working with was very less, but I used to see them coming back to him after they've achieved something in their life and tell him, sir, आपके उस support की वजह से आज मैं यहाँ हूँ. I used to see police inspectors coming to my home, and I used to think, अरे ये क्यों आ गया? आप किसी ने कुछ गड़बड़ कर दिया क्या? But they used to come and touch the feet of my father and say, sir, आपने उस समय वो push किया मुझको certificate मिला and मैंने ये apply किया और मुझको आज यहाँ मिला है. I've seen a lot of people come and go and the amount of work he has put into them. And still nothing happened here. I mean, I was still okay. हाँ ठीक है, अच्छा है. But I could see it. I could see it. I could compare his life and my life and still doing what I was doing. Later on, I finished my master's in fisheries science from Mumbai and joined my PhD there in the same college and did my research in NEERI, went on to do my postdoc in US. That is when I realized that this life that I was leading was almost always about me feeling good about myself, me doing this, earning money, and lots of it, but never beyond that. Are you bored of that pictorial? No, okay. that thing is gone. Otherwise, I would have switched the picture. It's just going to be there and I'm going to talk. So, no, nothing there. If you want, I can change. Well, this is our founder. This is my dad, Professor Vijay Barse. And he's still this active. And he still does this. This is explaining pose. Kya kar rahe ho, beta? Wapas aa jao. That's his normal way of talking to people. So, you know, I remember a walk. I mean, in the morning also I went for a walk on the beach, and when I'm walking, I'm thinking a lot. So I would tell you, all of you, to walk or jog. It clears your mind. And I remember that walk which I had from my lab towards my room. I had published my 5th paper, and I was just calculating, being a academician, I was calculating the impact factor, and it was 5. Otherwise, I should have been happy and elated. But that day, it was different. I was walking down, and actually my lab had 5 people in it. And I was thinking like, Pach, oh, that's good. And then I realized, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there are 5 people in my lab. And is this the impact that I'm going to have in my life? These 5 people are, no, I don't want to impress them. I do not want to touch their lives. And I kept thinking about it, impact. It created a lot of, thoughts in my mind. What impact will I have? Is it just going to be me doing something in a secluded place and then hoping that things change? Or is it me who's going to actively try and do something on the field to change lives of others? And then it struck me that my father was right. He was always so right. He was in the midst. He was in the crux, and he was trying to do the best he could. He was expanding himself to the society and welcoming people from various backgrounds with an open heart and trying to work with them. Slowly, I couldn't take it any longer, and I had to leave US and come back to India. While I was coming, I had no plans. Like, I did not think that aisa karunga, vaisa karunga, nothing. I just came back with an open mind and an open heart to start to do something which will give me peace, which will give me satisfaction. And I had no inclination of joining him as well. But once when I came back, I started seeing what he was doing, and then I got intrigued, and slowly I started to tell him, don't do like this. This is, you just working alone, trying to do a lot of work. I see you trying to fundraise. I see you trying to do press releases. I see you trying to run programs all on your own. You're just one person. And he said, okay, I'm a one person. Why don't you join me? And it was as simple as that. I mean, I know when we start social work, the biggest hindrance you face usually is your family. Although I did face a little bit of trouble from my family as well, but my immediate family was so much more supportive of the type of work I was trying to do. And those simple words, why don't you join me and help me to do what I'm doing, changed my life. I set out to do the best I can, and I had no plans. Again, although I was technically trained in a different field, this was something which was not even planned properly. It's called sports for development. Sports, you play, you have fun, you win trophies, you go back home, you feel good. If you're really good, you play professionally. How does this lead to development? How does this lead to change? And more importantly for me, how would this help me leave a lasting impact on the type of people I was working with? I was bogged down with all these questions. And then it happened. I started seeing how simple it was to change people. For him, it was the simple fact of seeing children play in the rain and the type of fun they were having that changed his mind to see that, football or sports can be such a wonderful medium to just have fun. Let me just digress a little bit and tell him how he actually started it. He was standing under a tree when it was raining while he left from his college, and he saw a bunch of kids playing in the field with a broken bucket. And he could see that they were having fun. They were, so happy. He went up to them and he asked them, "Would you like to play football match?" And they say yes. Then he went on, and by the end of that day, he had distributed around 20 footballs to various slums around the Nagpur city and asked them to report at 2 o'clock at his college ground. They reported at 10 o'clock. Some of them came as early as they could. They were not, properly made up. Some of them hadn't even taken bath, not brushed, but they were there for the game, for the love of the game. They were there because someone asked them if they would like to take part in an organized match, and that was one of the biggest things that had happened to their lives. One thing led to another, and he started conducting these tournaments, and he got this publicity, but he was still doing it all alone. And then I come into the picture. I see him doing stuff alone, and I join him. And then there are two people who are doing it. And I was stressed because I was just simply doing what he was doing without thinking about it. And then I realized that if I want to have a broader impact, I will have to have help of a lot many people than just me and him. And I started approaching a lot of people, like, sports persons, different people who have been associated with development programs. None of them had a clear-cut idea as to what development sports can bring. So I started on another path of actually trying to find out good examples so that I can lay it in front of people and they can follow them. It didn't happen. I had to again go back. Then I realized that it is easier if I hire coaches and teach them and let them do. So this is exactly what I did. I picked up a couple of coaches from here and there, and then I taught them what I want to be delivered through an ideal session, and they did. By the end of the third month that I was operating, my coaches were complaining, "Sir, we go in the morning and we come back in the evening, and it is very tiring, and it is very troublesome for us. So either you increase our salary or you hire more people." Both of the things were not possible with me. So then I hit this roadblock and I was like, what should I do? What should I do? I don't want to stop what I've started. There were changes happening. There were people who were coming out of slums and telling me, हमारे बच्चे ने गुटखा खाना बंद कर दिया, हमारे बच्चे ने स्मोक करना बंद कर दिया क्योंकि वो आपके सर उसको अच्छा बताते हैं. While all these positive things were coming by, I was hitting roadblocks. I didn't have enough money to go on, and I didn't have enough technical know-how to actually do what I set out to do. Then another thought struck me. And I started seeing these young people who had changed their lives through my small intervention. Then I went to them and asked them, would you want to help me coach other students, other children? And they say, yes. That was another moment of big hurrah for me. And I simply started taking in these young people who were there and who have changed their lives and who wanted to help me. And I simply started using them. I taught them with the help of the senior coaches, and the number went on increasing. And they were supposed to take equipment from me and go in wherever they want to go and start their own sessions. Basically delivering what I've taught them, what my staff had taught them, and just go and play with kids. The idea is simple. You start with playing them, you start to build that bridge with them, and through that bridge, you communicate. You open a dialogue, and using this dialogue, you start to impact their lives in whatever way you can. If you see that these children are in bad habits, you just simply say, okay, this is not good, this is good. And it's as simple as that. All they need to see sometimes is that someone cares enough to tell them to stop, to do something, and they just respond. Well, today, I have 98 such young leaders who are working with me at Slum Soccer. I have exceptionally well-talented staff who have actually gone through the program and are now acting as coaches, facilitators, coordinators with me. And 100% of my staff is that staff that has come up through the program. And since they themselves know the power that sports carries, they are able to, apply it in the best possible way. Football changes lives. I mean, I'm in the football crazy country of Goa. I don't need to tell you what passions the game carries. There are wars being fought, there are people being shot, all for the love of the game. But it's equally, that's the bad side of football. And trust me, when I talk about bad side, you've seen the bad side of cricket as well, so I won't go into that. But then there is this wonderful good side of sport that I'm talking about here. It's the side that changes people. Now, if I were to give you a statement that, sports changes life, which means that every person who takes part in a game, in a sport, he should be having all this quality in him. He should be a capable leader, he should be a team player, he should be confident. But it actually doesn't happen that way. It doesn't. Just because you're a part of a team, you're playing in a football team, doesn't make you a team player, a confident young man, or a good communicator. And this was my observation, which means that we need to put something inside that game through which you can take those values and go and change yourself. So we started working on this. At the end of first year, we had outlined broad areas in which we wanted to work through our intervention. We started working on personality. We started working on their communication skills. We started creating awareness about health, hygiene, nutrition, about HIV, about AIDS. We then took on to bigger topics like social inclusion, gender equality, empowerment. All of this, if you ever come to Slum Soccer, you'll see all of this being delivered through the power of football, which essentially means that we make games out of everything. We are good at creating games. And if you want to learn something from us, we will teach you through the game. And that's how we do it. It's simple. You use the game as a career and you deliver what you want. And the impacts are amazingly very empowering. Everyone who has been through our program says that he is better off than he was before. We now have a 60% retention rate, which means that for every 100 children we work with, at the end of 1 year, we have 60 of them who come back to us and who continue to change their lives. We've, again, I have mixed both the stories because I suddenly realized that I've said a lot of things and conversationally it's just flowing everywhere. So my part was I started to look at it from top and I started to seeing all the things he was doing and then like tried to put into place what I see was going wrong. And at that point of time, my education helped me. My education had molded my mind in such a way that I could analyze stuff. And I realized that whatever skills I had actually developed in that lab were actually just a little bit of transferring, and I could apply them on the field. And that this was an amazing and empowering moment for me to realize that, for some months when I started working, I felt that, what am I doing? I trained to be a scientist, I trained to be a researcher. What am I doing in a football field? And this is not how I look. If you come to my office, I'm in a shirt and shorts, and we have a football pitch right next to our office. If we get bored, we go down and play. If we have a problem, we go down and play. If we want to have fun, we go down and play. Everything happens with play. That is the power of play. So I realized that my education was being wasted in this field, and then this happened where I realized, no, it's not happened. I was able to think clearly and in a better way because I was coming from a different background. And because there was no set rules for me, there was no set rules of failure or success for me. So I was very aptly able to apply whatever I had collected back there to the field that was in front of me. And this created a lot of good and bad moments, but right now I can say I'll talk about only the good ones. And it just kept growing. It just kept growing. first year we had like 6 centers. When I stepped in, we had 6 centers. By center, I mean one guy walking into an open field, doesn't have to have a football field, but a dozen of children coming in, our coach going in with equipment, throwing few balls, making them play, making them sit, talking to them, interacting with them, and then playing those themed games which we want to talk about. Like last month, our coaches did a unique thing. In Nagpur slums, we had this epidemic of malaria. So my coaches invented a game called Football versus Malaria. And you can see how impactful that must have been. Now these children, they went back to their families and they started to tell their parents about simple and easy things, what they understood and what they took away from that game. And I have recently, when my doctors did a checkup again, they told me that इस साल थोड़ा कम है. And although I do not have a substantiated report about this, I feel by the fact that I think this must have made an impact on them. And again, I feel good when I heard that word impact. Yes. So using my skill set, using my mindset, I was able to see that we were not replicating what others were doing, which means that we actively started networking with other individuals, other organizations who were doing similar work in the field. Maybe they were doing it good, so we went. When they did something good, we actually asked them to give us those ideas. But sports for development as a field is in its infancy in India, so I couldn't get much help. I went outside, I started searching. Since similar concepts were being utilized in Africa and they were using football as a tool to, educate people about HIV, I was able to take that template and apply it here, something which I gained because of my education. Stealing ideas is what I'm good at. Converting them into something that is more indigenized, more applicable to that field is what I've realized that I'm good at. And that's what I do. I sort of look at others, what they're doing good, and then I feel, okay, I need to up my game. I need to do this. I need to do that. That's what I realized when I came here also. Okay, I should be doing so much more. And I was walking through the campus and all these thoughts were going out through my head. And I said, there is so much you can take away from this campus. If I call them my children, if my children had that opportunity to come to a place like this, they would never leave the campus. Trust me. They would never leave the campus. We try to do whatever English-speaking skills we do with them, and I saw a whole lab dedicated to that, and I was like, oh, my chief coach, Homkant, he would sleep in that lab. He loves doing that. I forgot to flip the... This is me doing what I am doing. As I promised, no words, just words coming out of me. So I was able to apply what I had gathered in a different field and what I could see there, and it was amazing. And the biggest moment for us came in 2007 when we were able to select a team that would represent India at the Homeless World Cup. Now again, this is an opportunity which is afforded only to those who are from poor background, who are from underprivileged background. And this one opportunity helped me to build my organization to a whole bigger level. When you have a target set in front of you, you tend to work hard and the best comes out of you. And I set this target for my kids, for my players. If you do well on the field and off the field, this is going to be a reward. And I see people changing their lives. I mean, earlier it was not there, but this one opportunity that we've put in front of them just changes everything. They go there, and trust me, when you are standing inside the arena and when your national anthem is being played, oh, I get shivers on my spine every time I stand there, and you're representing your country. And despite of what you've been in your personal life, you're still there. And not many people get a chance to, stand on a stage where my team this year has 2 children whose mothers are commercial sex workers. And imagine their joy when their children will be standing and representing their country. What impact it carries. And they're open. They want to learn, they want to change. And this change is what I'm always looking at. Last year, this year, we are sending the team to Poland in Poznan. And this is, last year we were 30th in our position, which is way better than the regular Indian standing in the FIFA ranking. We ranked 30th in the Homeless World Cup. And although this doesn't mean much, it does mean that there is hope at the end. Last year, I was elected on the Street Football Network Board, which is again a strategic alliance partner for FIFA. And for an Indian to be on that board, it means awfully a lot to me. To be able to represent the country at such an international forum and to speak on behalf of all those who are neglected and deprived, it just makes me feel so much more responsible. And again, I remember my walk in which I was carefree. But the only part I was thinking was again about what impact I would have. And here I am, having a wonderful opportunity to impact so many brilliant minds. I mean, this is what I live for. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Create impact at the grassroots level and then convey that message to the millions who actually don't get to see it. Oh yes, these are our actually young leaders. These are girls who play football and then go to their locality to be ambassadors for sports. We have a project called CATS, Community Action Through Sports. All this while, Vasant was telling me he wants to do something through sports. So our project works, Community Action Through Sports. It's called CATS, and it's very appropriate because these are all cats. And they go through in the community and they work on women's related issues. They create small groups in which there is an open dialogue. We talk about dialogue a lot. We open up. And they take community-based actions. If they see something illegal happening in which a single person is unable to do something, they'll form a group and they'll do what they can. It doesn't create results always, but it does make a small dent in the big machinery. And I'm so proud to say that my girls are way better than the boys we have. They're so focused. They are like so target oriented. And they are so open to learning. Every time we teach them something new, they come with this amazing enthusiasm and they change everything around them. They affect everything so positively. Last year, these girls, they were the Maharashtra level winners for the PICA, Prime Minister's, this Krida, Panchayat Yuva Krida Khel. This year, they were runners up. So I'm absolutely proud of them. We started with just one girl. Actually, it was, when we started, we got 20, but then because of the issues that we face, the number trickled down to again 5, 6, and we were left with one success story. But that one girl, she was able to go back in her community and bring so many other girls back. And now we are not reaching our target of 50% of girls, but we have maybe 12 or 15% of our overall program strength that consists of girls, which is big number for us. Again, girls. These girls are actually participating in the Homeless World Cup this year. This is our facility at Nagpur campus. And I'm at the end of what I'm trying to say here, but what I'm trying to impress upon you is that when we are faced with choices, we tend to think about what's in front of us. We tend to think about, okay, we try to be logical. Because we did this, we should do that. But if you open your mind to think about, beyond your current circumstances, you're able to expand yourself. You're able to think beyond the current circumstances. And this is what we need to see. We need to see beyond what's here. We need to set our focus there. I can't say I'm the best example because I made some really questionable choices. I did my education in one field and then I went in the other direction. But I'm going to tell you that don't be limited by your degrees. Nobody is limited by their degrees. All the skills that you learn here are very transferable. Something you learn in a science field can be so easily applied to something which is, in applied. So my message to you today would be stop limiting yourself. The only limit you will ever have is the one that you set for yourself. I, my biggest inspiration comes from all those children who have struggled with addiction, struggled with situation, and then changed their lives. These are my biggest heroes. And if I see you sitting here, I feel that you've been blessed with such a wonderful, college here. A college that actually thinks about how your education is going to be utilized. I haven't seen this anywhere I've been. And trust me, very recently I was in an engineering college. I would say they are way behind what you are here right now. I'm telling you, they are way behind what you are actually you stepping into. You do not realize the type of people who care about you. This is again what we conduct every year, a national tournament where we invite other NGOs working in similar fields. And every year we select the Homeless World Cup team at the end of our national tournament. This was actually held in Nagpur the last time, which was in 2011. After that, we conducted the same event in Bangalore, in Delhi, and this year we are going to Chennai. So out of this, we select the team for Homeless World Cup, and that team goes to represent India. And when they come back from this Homeless World Cup, this is what we did last year. We won one of the lower level cups, which is the Community Cup. Every one of them is still in touch with me. Every one of them is leading a change. Every one of them is coaching and facilitating other children to become better and better. My team coach, actually the one in the red, his name is Omkant. He comes from Yavatmal. He ran away from his home when there were a lot of suicides happening. Somehow he ended up at Slum Soccer. And today, he's the beacon of hope for at least 500 kids that he works with, either directly or indirectly. And I'm so proud of their achievement. Their achievement makes me feel pale. I mean, I feel that if I had those sorts of, strength in me, I would be doing so much more. But yeah, this is about sports, and this is about how it changes your life and how it has affected me as a person. And last but not the least, football is fun. I would suggest every one of you to kick a ball. I would suggest every one of you to, go outside, play. It not only helps you develop yourself physically, it also affects your mind in a way that it frees it. It helps you see beyond your limitation. We in India, we think that after we reached a certain age, after we reached a certain stage in our life, we shouldn't play. But that's not the thing. The longer you play, the longer that child inside you lives, and the longer your sense of wonder remains, and the longer you can impact other lives. Since this was a conversation, I was everywhere over the place. I don't think I followed a very strict, format. Sir, thank you for having me here. And if this feels abrupt, that's because I'm so overwhelmed with this type of response that I'm getting here. I would say to everyone here once again that, go out and play and see how it changes you. I would tell you that do not be limited by your circumstances because you're so much bigger than what you are. Thank you.